Yeah, like being at home and being isolated and stuff for some reason has kicked up my munchie gene.
Yeah, the hunger. Like you're bored eating.
I'm bored eating constantly. Well, it's okay. So this episode's going to be about what to expect while you're during the weight loss and after. And why I said that this was probably a good time for this was because I'm also recently realizing one of my triggers for binging. Because I didn't realize all these. You don't really realize when you're in the middle of it. Like, I didn't even know I had triggers for eating. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, food was just food constantly. Blah, blah, blah. You know, like just shovel as much in as I can. But so I'm recently like discovering that I have triggers, right? So one of my triggers is like rejection. Like I dated this one girl 2 years ago, almost at this point. And like she's in the last 2 years, she's kind of the only one that I still even think about.
Yeah.
And so I reached out. I was like, hey, just checking in I sent her an email. It's just, hey, checking in during the apocalypse. Just want to see how you're doing. And she never wrote back. So like one of my triggers was, and then like a day after it was pretty obvious she wasn't going to be writing back, like I started my crappy eating.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a trigger, feeling rejected. So yeah, that like being at home plus the rejection thing is like, so yeah, knowing your triggers is key, I think.
Yeah, I think, for me, one of my biggest ones is, I think, bored eating. Like, if I'm not doing anything productive and like I'm just sitting like, I should have, is my body's just like, my little subconscious part of my brain's like, oh, we should have food in our hand. You know, so then I'll find myself walking downstairs and like opening the fridge, like, why am I standing in front of the fridge? Like, I didn't consciously come here. I just went there and opened the fridge and I'm looking for food. And I'm like, why am I looking for food? You know, like that's what I do now. Before I would just grab something. Right. Now it's just like, why am I here? And then I get in those staring contests where I'm like staring. I'm like, I look at that thing. I was like, I've been good. I can have this, a little bit of it right now. I'll just sit there and stare at it. It's like, who's going to blink first, And
so how often nowadays does the food win and how often do you win?
I win probably 99% of the time.
You think you're pretty much winning all the time now?
Yeah. I mean, like we have discussed this, like cheat days. Like I like schedule a cheat day once a month, like usually around a family get together or a holiday or an event of some kind. So I can go, okay, on this day, I'm going to eat whatever I want. I still usually don't go crazy, but I'm going to eat whatever I want. And then I usually do a build up before it, like super, super strict. And then afterwards, I usually fast a couple of days. So I have like a little spot where I'm like, okay, this is that. But outside of that, most of the time, almost every time I just stare at it and I look at it and I look at it and I look at it and then I close the door. And the other one I do is like I watch my nieces and nephews sometimes, and of course they eat whatever they want, their kids, whatever. And one of my nephews, he's got some severe mental issues, handicaps, however you want to say that, challenges, and like really severe. So he eats very particular things, and that's all he eats. So he gets to eat as much of that as he wants to because you just want him to eat. Mm-hmm. He has to. He's one of those people you're trying to put weight on him, right? And so like he loves chips and he loves granola bars and he loves gummies, fruit snacks and stuff like that. All things that I'm not eating. Right. And whenever I open the bag, I just give a deep, deep breath of it just to smell it. Like, oh, I wish I could eat this, and then hand it to him as he goes and eats it. So little things like that, I think, kind of help. I don't think that would help everybody. Some people that would just trigger to make them want to eat it. Yeah, but definitely. For me, it's like okay, I got the sensation from the smell of it, and I'm gonna pass it on to him, let him go eat.
It's funny because sometimes that works for me when I'm being good, like I'm able to win that staring contest. But when I'm in one of these funks, like I have been again, and I had just gotten out of one, if you remember, like I had just gotten out of a funk. So it's kind of crappy that I'm back in one, but the world's in kind of disorder, so it makes sense. Like I'm stuck at home and I'm trying to figure all this out, YouTube and all this stuff that's going on. Yeah. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, so I would win when I'm being good. I win more often, and then when I'm in one of these, like I just open the fridge and I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm going to feel terrible tomorrow for eating this, and then I'm like, yeah, but
I'm going to do it anyway.
And then I do it anyway. So what do you think it is that you've been stricter with yourself for far longer than I have. Like, you've surpassed me. So what do you think it is that's kept you going much more strict than I have?
I mean, I honestly don't know, because I can't even tell you exactly why I started when I started. Like, there's all these things that convalesce together to make you like, okay, this is for real this time. But I've done that before in the past, and then it wasn't for real. You know, so I honestly, it's just like there's something in here that's has clicked and changed. So, like, whatever it was that started me on this path, that little thing has changed. Like, I was talking to my brother-in-law about this recently, and he's just like, you're a totally different person, Larry. You're completely different. Right. Like, your attitude, you're more compassionate. You're quicker. You have a quicker mind, but you're also nicer. Like, your jokes are not as dark. All that kind of stuff. So, like, everything has just kind of changed. My mentality has changed. It's not perfect. I still have, again, those days. I have the staring contest. The difference is I win the staring contest more times than not. Right. Way more times than not. I mean, maybe it's not 99, but it feels like that. Like, because it almost happens almost every day sometimes. Like, there'll be like days in a row where I'm up. I mean, even now, like I said when we started, I'm in the middle of a 3-day fast. This is the last day of that fast. And every day I've opened that fridge and just stared at everything. You know, the difference is I didn't eat it. Right. So...
yeah, it's an ongoing struggle. So like that was kind of the point of this episode, a little bit like what to expect moving forward. Like once you're past that whole, I'm actually doing it this time, like you were just talking about, and then actually doing it, right? So like what to expect when you're in the middle of that and then after, because it never ends. Like I thought, see, in my head, I don't know how you were, but I there was always this thing where I'm going to reach this magical number,
and everything will be fine,
and everything will be fine. Like everything would change overnight that day. Yeah. Then that doesn't, like, the world doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I had many numbers along the way. Like, this was my number I'm trying to get to. I reached that number and I was still the same person. Like, I still want to pig out. Don't get me wrong. Right. I still want to I was just thinking about this the other day it was just like a couple weeks ago, I had one of those planned days. I ate some food, and like 2 days later, I had some weird swelling in my leg where I was retaining water. This just happens to me when I eat carbs now. And it was like delayed by a couple of days. And I was like, man, I just want to be where I can just eat what I want and not have this happen. You know, but I realized I can't. I may never be that person where I can just eat freely all the time. I'll just have to always be strict. Right. To a degree. I think I can, transition to a slightly more maintaining style diet. Because right now I'm still trying to lose. I'm still trying to lose like that last 5 to 10 pounds. But even when I get there, I'm gonna still have to like slowly transitioning to a maintaining diet and try not to go crazy. Because if I let myself just do it, you know what I mean? You end up putting back on 20, 30 pounds. And you can do it really fast.
So fast. It's ridiculous how fast it comes on. Yeah. Like how fast you put the weight on. It takes you 3 times as long to take it off. Yeah. It's bonkers.
The upside to me is when I do the retaining thing, it's usually just water.
Usually.
So if I am just good for a day and then I pee it all out. But it's one of those things that, and I don't know why, for me in particular, why I'm able to win more than I ever did. I mean, before I was just losing all the time. It was like, if you look at my life, I'm 34 years old. I really started putting weight on, I was always a heavy kid, but I really started putting on after high school. So I'm just counting as an adult. That's from 18 to 34, so that's 16 years. The food won 14 of the 16 years. Right. Or 14 and a half of the 16 years. And just the last year and a half, I'm winning now. Right. And I'm winning dominantly. But that was 14 and a half years of being in last place in the league, just getting slaughtered every time I played this team that was to me was unbeatable. And now I'm actually beating it. And I'm beating it consistently.
Yeah, and like I said, it's surprising to me how much, because you're so close. Like, you're basically at your goal weight. And I've gotten close to mine a couple times, 3 times now. I've gotten very close to where I'm right there.
Yeah, I'm within 5 pounds of it. Yeah. I want to go 5 pounds under it. That way, when I start to go to the maintaining mode, I don't shoot back over.
Yeah, because you'll put on water weight right away. Yeah. And yeah. So it's like... I'm impressed by how much discipline you still have compared to mine, which seems to have I don't want to say faltered, but weakened. I'm basically there I want to relax. I love food, so it's like every time I give myself permission to do a little bit, I do it in excess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the old me that's like trying to sneak out every time.
I think part of it is, and I have noticed this, and it's probably why I've doubled down in a way, because I kind of have. Because you see me, like I hike like crazy. Super. I did 16 miles the other day on my own. You're like, by yourself? I'm like, I just wanted to see how far I could go. This is like deep in the back country by myself. Maybe a little dangerous, but I didn't do anything too crazy. Like, nothing, no like scrambling. But
did you stick to trails and just
yeah. I stuck to trails but I was out that back trail I took you on.
Mm-hmm. By your place?
By my place. I kept, rather than going up that mountain, I kept going down and I found this really cool canyon. It was awesome. I want to take you back there because it's pretty cool.
Okay.
We just would have to not go as far as I went probably.
Were you so...
But there was nothing too hard. It was nothing too strenuous. It was like you're consistently going uphill as you go out, but then it's all downhill back.
Right.
So it's not too much.
Right. And was there any point that you were afraid that you'd get lost out there?
No, not me.
No,
you know that.
Well, that's what I'm afraid of. Like, that's why I won't go hike. If we go hiking together and it's like...
You're always like, where are we at now? I'm like, okay, we're right here. We were over there and we started up there. And you're like, oh, okay, I see it now.
I have a terrible sense of direction. And like when you're out there, when all you see is mountains around you, like there's no bearing. I have no bearing.
Like, for me, like I know where I need to. Like for me, I know if I go east, I'm back in the valley. So I just know that. And when I'm back behind that mountain, okay, it's like, okay, I gotta go north first and then east, and I pretty much know where I'm at all times. I've always had a really good sense of direction.
Yeah, and I don't.
I mean, I could get lost when I was in the canyons. I was like, all right, I got to keep track of every time I make a left or a right in this, because there's lots of paths you could go on. At the end of the day, I just climb out of the canyon and look, but. I had to kind of keep track of that because you could get lost in that if it gets windy, but it wasn't too windy. It was pretty linear. It was like mostly just going south from the south to the north. That's the direction the canyon was going.
Okay.
So as long as I stayed on the main canyon paths, I'd been fine. But I did go on a couple like, ooh, this one looks cool. I'm going to go off this side path for a second, see where it goes. And I saw it started getting tricky. I'm like, okay, turn back around, go back to the main path and keep going.
All right.
But
this isn't the hiking club episode.
What I was going to say was like I've doubled down recently because I've noticed that the payoffs aren't as great now. So I think that's what I'm saying. That's where you're at, right? So like it was easier to like stay on program when you're really heavy and you have to eat like 3,500 calories to maintain. So if you eat 1,200 a day, you're losing almost a pound a day.
You're still losing, yeah.
Yeah, and plus whatever activity you do in that day adds on top of that. And so you're losing way more weight. So it's like, oh, every time I'm good, I get way more reward from it because it's like all this weight's dropping off. And now when you're at the bottom part of it, you're maintaining, calories like just 2,500,
if that, yeah.
And so that's only 1,000 difference now, and so it's not as much of a reward. It takes 4 or 5 days to get that same pound off, and so it's easier to slip, I think. And then for me, because I was seeing that, I was like, okay, I'm just going to double down. Like I'm gonna be super strict. And I've also noticed that when I do slip, it hits you harder.
Yeah.
So it's like you just got to be better when you get to these lower weights.
It's tough, man. And so that's the cool thing about you guys coming along with us because we're still kind of in the middle of it, right? We're neither one of us is past it yet. We've done the bulk of it, which is why we started this podcast. It's like, hey, we were over the hump, and so let's help others get over the hump. But we're still on the hill. Like we're still
on it, yeah.
We're still on that downward hike, right? Like we're not all the way back yet.
And to use a hiking analogy, I've explained this to you, like hiking uphill is strenuous, but it's not as hard on the joints. Going downhill is where you get hurt because now it's impact and you have to slow yourself, and that's where you're more likely to twist an ankle or something, in my experience. And I think that's where we're at now. You're more likely to do something like that, which then lays you up, then you can't keep hiking, so you can't keep diet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, go off the rails.
Like easier to go off the rails when you're coming down.
Easier to slip
on the way down.
Yeah.
So it's easier to quit, I think, on the way up, and easier to slip on the way down.
That makes sense, right? Because when you're on the way up, it feels insurmountable.
Yeah,
and I've done that. Like, and
there's even that point, like when you're hiking and you're near the peak, and all of a sudden, you come over that crest, and it's like, oh, I'm here already. And I think that happens with the weight loss too. It's like you're dropping so much weight so fast, but it feels so far away, and all of a sudden you hit this point, you're like, oh, for me it was 285. I hit 285, and now this last 80 pounds compared to the first 100 and whatever. It's been much more difficult.
Yeah. The first 200 feels like a cakewalk compared to the last.
To the last 100, yeah.
So that's kind of like, and that's afterwards, right? That's after you've lost the 200. Let's talk about some of the stuff you can expect during the weight loss.
The
one that always springs to mind because it was so obvious was the increase in estrogen when you're losing a lot of fat. Your fat cells have aromatase in them, which when you burn them, they release estrogen. And you'll notice things like you getting a lot more emotional and crying more often, and this is as a guy, like your breasts get more sensitive sometimes, like weird side effects, and unless you research it and know, you're like, what is going on with me? Like, I'm always so emotional lately. And it's because your estrogen's super high.
Yeah, you told me that was a possible like side effect that would happen. And I did have a little bit of sensitivity, not too much. And I probably did get somewhat emotional, but I didn't notice it. I wasn't like crying, but for me, it was my voice. I would get this tightness in my throat and my voice would be higher, but I was so used to speaking in a lower registry, just like a normal guy.
Right.
And so I would want to be talking down here, but my voice wanted me to talk up here because my voice would get higher. And I was like, why is it doing this? And I looked it up and it was like estrogen. I'm like, oh, Dan told me about this. But you just didn't experience that like I did.
Right.
So for me, it was like, right, I would just like, I'd be like, my voice would just get tired at the end of the day. And I'm like, why can't I talk? Why did I keep getting like laryngitis? Because I was wanting to talk down here, but my voice wasn't letting me.
Right.
Because I was dropping estrogen and it made my voice go up just a little bit, just like a quarter of an octave, but it wouldn't let me talk where I wanted to talk or would normally talk, where my voice naturally wanted to rest. It wasn't letting me do that.
Right.
So it was like, that's one of the things you're going to have to expect. And I can't even imagine what happens when you're a woman and you're losing weight, because their hormones compared to ours already have like drastic differences, and it's everything's different. So I don't even know what happens when you're a woman and you start losing weight, because it's going to pump their estrogen up too. And I don't know what,
Yeah, and they're going to have excess estrogen at that point. So for what I did, at least when I was doing that, now I'm not a doctor and this is not medical advice, but I took a supplement called DIM, and I forget what the full technical name is. You'll have to forgive me, but dimethyl whatever, and DIM. You can find it on Amazon and things like that. It's a supplement. It's all natural and stuff. And all it does is regulates your hormones. It brings your testosterone and your estrogen in line to whatever your homeostasis is for your body. So it doesn't give you extra of anything or bring down anything. All it does is balance you.
Yeah.
And so like that cured me. Like within 2 weeks of taking the DIM, every time it would happen, boom, I'd be fine.
I didn't have it as severe. I think for me, it was just mostly the voice. So I didn't ever worry about that. And for me, I noticed the voice thing too, like on the lower half of the weight loss.
Right.
For me. But yeah, so yeah, that's a great bit of advice on what to expect.
Yeah. Losing like the estrogen going up is one of those big ones that you don't really have any clue about. Because you're like, if you're losing 20, 30 pounds, I don't think you even have to worry about that. 50 pounds, it probably never happens. But once you start burning enough fat at a quick enough pace.
Especially when it's all you're burning. So you're like, whatever. Yeah, what is the hormone that's released?
I don't know.
You said the name a second ago that turns into estrogen.
Oh, aromatase.
Aromatase.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's flooding your body.
That's
basically.
in your fat cells.
It's in your fat cells, yeah. So it's gonna flood your body when you're it's what you're burning. Your fat cells are being destroyed for energy, and so that's releasing into your body.
Correct.
So the more you're burning, the more it's going to happen. It's probably going to build up even.
Yeah. So and I feel like it happens once you lose that first 100 pounds. If you have a lot to lose, that's when like it accumulates, and that's when I first noticed it was around the 100 pound or 120, 130 pound mark, and it was like I said, I like just emotional crying, and it was like weird. And every time it happened, like I would take DIM for 2 weeks, it would eventually go away, and then I'd stop the DIM because I don't want to be taking anything for the rest of my life or anything like that. And then 3 months later, 6 months later, 8 months later, it would happen again. I would take DIM again for 2 weeks, and it would clear it up. And then I had to do DIM maybe 3 times during this whole process. So that's something that you can expect during your weight loss. What about you? Do you have any things they can expect as they're losing the weight?
As they're losing, the loosening of your body. Like people have talked about this. This extends also into the end point with loose skin and stuff. But for me, the first thing I noticed was like my arms got loose and jiggly, and then my legs got loose and jiggly because you've got all this excess skin. and you're losing fat and your skin can't tighten fast enough. So that's something you're gonna have to get used to. And one of the big helpers for that is we've both discussed this and we both use it, is compression clothing. So it really helps you when you're along the way to buy some compression clothing, a size or two smaller, and wear that under your clothes, so that it really helps show off the gains, I guess I'll call it, like, because there's for each loss there's a gain. You can actually see where your new body shape is going, because when you just have that loose skin, it makes you look fatter than you are.
Yeah, and plus you feel more confident when you wear the compression clothes.
I have to wear it everywhere now. It makes a huge difference. And so for me, that was like one of the first things I noticed, like, was the loose skin. And I think it's also a good indicator too, like when because sometimes you can't trust the scale, right? You're doing everything right, and you're on the diet, you're on the program, and you go to weigh yourself and it's been a couple of days and you're like, man, nothing's come off.
Yeah. Or you're up a pound even.
Yeah. But if you look at your body shape and like where things getting loose, like, oh, things are like shifting and moving inside me. So I'm still like doing good. It's just like the body's like holding on maybe a little extra water to help move things around and get everything like a homeostasis kind of thing. And then it'll drop again. But that's one of the things I noticed. And then the other one was, this is kind of also like, I don't know, I think it tips and tricks maybe a little bit too, but it's like clothing. You're going to be swimming in your clothes if you're doing this within a really short amount of time, honestly. Like once you get down 60-ish pounds, if you're as big as we were, I'm saying.
Very quickly.
Very quickly.
Your pants will just become parachutes on you.
Yes. Parachute pants and a tarp for a shirt.
Yeah.
And I found that I held off for a long time on buying new clothes. And I wish I hadn't.
Yeah.
Because when I finally did like buy some clothes, I ended up buying them a little too big because I was used to buying slightly bigger, because it's just your mentality's still there. But when I did that, I was like, oh man, I look amazing. I didn't look amazing at the time. I was still big, but in my, like, compared to how I looked just in those huge clothes, I was like, because those make you look fat too.
Yes.
Because you're wearing so much extra cloth, it just, people can't tell.
Yeah. That's actually really good. That's really good advice. Like buying new clothes along the way, like even if it's just from a thrift store or Ross or something.
Yeah, you do the Ross thing, and I was doing thrift stores. For me, there's one here in town. They have a half off on a certain day, so I'd go on that day and I would just look for clothes that were decent condition that I could buy really cheap, because I didn't want to spend a full retail price on stuff and only be able to wear it for a couple of months before I need to, or even once, and then have to change it out because it's too big. So, which is kind of funny, because growing up, it was always the opposite.
Yeah.
Growing up, as I was putting weight on, it was the opposite. I would always buy things a few sizes bigger because I would grow into it. Oh, yeah. Well, that's why I think you hold off buying new clothes in the beginning for so long. You're like, these are just going to get tight on me super quick, because that's how things used to be for you. Yeah.
But it wasn't until, I want to say I hit 3X, and then I was starting to buy clothes in the 2X range. Like I was on that cusp where I was like, I'll fit into it the other way. Yeah.
In a couple of weeks or a month, I'll be in this. So
the other way. And I had never thought that way before in my life.
Like for me, I didn't start buying new clothes until I was probably a 2X, and I bought 3X clothes. Right. So I was a 6 and I was wearing 6X clothing. A couple of 4s and 5s that I had in the closet, I started wearing. I even pulled those out too late. There was a pair of jeans I had that I had bought like 15 years ago.
That stopped fitting like right away.
Well, they didn't fit when I bought them.
Yeah.
They were just such a good deal. I could not buy them. There was a pair of them. They were boot cut. I was like, I'll drop a few pounds and I'll fit these. They were tight, so I didn't ever wear them. And then I just went way past them. For some reason, I hung on to them. When I finally pulled them out, they were too big. I waited too long, so I did that. So I wish I hadn't done that. So I'm not saying go and buy a whole new wardrobe, but pick up a few shirts, a few pants, or whatever that you can cycle through as you're losing, and then be prepared to get rid of those. Like don't spend too much on them, because they're not going to last very long. Get ready for the next one down, and that will help. It's a confidence thing.
Totally.
You can then look in the mirror and go, man, I look pretty dang good, instead of like wearing this poncho.
It's amazing how much a new pair of clothes, like especially if you get good fitting clothes.
Yeah.
Like
I've never had that.
Never. I used to always wear baggy clothes, like you were saying. Like they were always baggy.
It was baggy, or I was growing out of it. It was too tight.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
I would not wear that in public.
Never.
So,
Never. No, those would become like shirts to sleep in and
sleep
stuff
in
like
or
that.
wear around the house when you're not going anywhere that day.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. So,
Now
yeah.
it's the opposite. Those big, huge shirts, I still have a few pairs, and I will like use those like almost like a nightgown now.
Yeah.
'Cause they're so big.
I won't wear loose clothing out. Like, I feel
You look bad.
you look bad. Like, I feel more overweight when I wear loose clothing than if I wear clothes that are still a little bit too snug because my lumpiness shows if I'm sitting down or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'd prefer that over the loose fitting clothes that make me look fatter.
Yeah.
So the buying new clothes is great advice, but again, don't go crazy because if you have a lot to lose, it's gonna be like I bought wardrobes every size.
Yeah, I didn't. I wish I had.
I did 6X. I went from 6X. I bought 5X, 4X, 3X, 2X, and X. Every step of the way, I didn't spend a fortune, but like the first time, like I spent hundreds on Amazon. I'm like, oh, I need to slow down. Because literally a month later, I went from 5 to 4. Like that jump.
Then all those clothes are too big.
Like I wore them once. So much clothes I wore just once. So then it was like I had to find that balance of affordability. And for me, that was Ross. Like it was like $12 for a shirt. And so I was like, all right, I'll buy 2 or 3 for every size or 4 or 5 for every size. And then I'll have enough. And like I said, you'll have to balance it out. Because at some point you will basically leapfrog 5X, 4X, depending on how big you are when you start this.
Yeah.
Like you basically jump past a couple of the sizes.
Yeah, I probably went from 6 straight to 4. Like went right past 5.
Yeah. So that'll happen. So yeah, the buying clothes thing is great advice. Not having food in the house. This is turning out to be a tips and tricks episode. Like not having food in the house helped a lot. Not having like if I didn't like I restocked the house because of Corona that's going on, and I brought some unhealthy snacks, and those have been like the first
thing to go.
the first things that I've been hopped on. Like boom, let's eat those. And it's like if I didn't have them in the house.
Yeah, for me, not having it in the house would be nice, but I don't have that luxury.
Right.
You know, I don't control everything that comes into the house. I live with my parents and my grandmother, and they have all what they eat, and they can eat whatever they want because they're not on the same thing, and that's fine for them. But you know, they got the sodas and the chips and the cookies and all the things are in the house, and so I had to learn just to not even. That's why I had those staring contests,
Right.
because they're there. So that maybe helped my willpower. So now that we're in this situation where we're all stuck at home, I'm just like, nope. You know, and I've changed my snacks to become healthy things. So like for me, like a piece of fruit is now a snack. It's like a reward for being good.
And it's delicious. When I'm eating clean and healthy, like there's nothing more delicious than a clementine or some grapes or whatever.
I'll split an apple with people. Like I can't believe I'm that person. Hey, you want to split an apple with me?
Right?
It's not even a big apple, but I just want to split it because I don't want to eat the whole thing.
You don't want to eat a whole apple?
I don't want to have, for me, it's the carb. It's like calorically, an apple is almost nothing, you know, but it's the carbs. I don't want to have too many carbs. So it's like, hey, you want to split an apple with me? And it's like, I've become that person. But yeah, if you can avoid it, definitely. And don't buy them yourself. That's a trick because that's the big ticket. Like, because there are these snacks in the house, but they're not necessarily my favorite snacks because I'm not the one buying them.
Right.
So yeah, if you don't bring them in the house, they're not there. You can't have them. And I would recommend if you have them in the house, this is one that I've run into with some people who like want to start and they're like, hey, what do I do? And I tell them what to do and they're not doing it. And they're like, well, I have these things in the house, so I'm going to go through them first. And then when I'm done, then I'll start. It's like, you're never going to go through them because you're going to buy some more before it's up or someone else will. You'll never get through them all. So you either have to just quit and leave them there or throw them out.
That's a trap, by the way. The whole, let me finish this before I start. I have this coming. Let me do that before I start.
Because there's always something. It's
a moving goalpost that you will never reach.
I have another person I've been helping with doing this, and they have a lot of family things. And they're like, okay, but my family's going to be in town this weekend. It's like, your family's in town every weekend, or someone's in town, or there's some event or some birthday party every weekend. And if you're doing that, you'll never start because you're always going to wait for the next weekend. You know, wait till after this next weekend, then I'll start that Monday. It'll never come. Tomorrow will never come, right? Like that country song.
It's literally a matter of putting your foot down.
Yeah.
At some point, you just go, that's it. I am doing the diet. And because you will always have food that you need to finish in the house. You will always have an event that's coming. You will always have friends or family that want to go out and they're visiting. you have to fit this diet into that life. That life will never fit into your diet.
Yeah. You'll have to learn to be at the party and just not eat the things that everyone else is eating. Or whatever.
You have to be at game night and not eat the pizza. You have to be at game night and bring the pizza yourself and not eat it.
Like you did last time. You brought the pizza and didn't have any. And you brought 3 boxes of pizza for everybody else to eat.
Like that is when you know you're losing. You're going to be okay.
Like for me, one of my favorite challenges is I cook most of the meals in my house. And so I would cook my parents and my grandmother what they wanted to eat. So they were having like French fries and burgers and whatever. I would cook all that. And then I would have like, some greens and some lean meat for me.
Right.
Cooked with like maybe some MCT oil or coconut oil or something, or pieces of avocado or an egg. But I would have that. So I cook them all what they're going to eat. And then it's so funny when the grandmother, her memory's not quite what it used to be. Mm-hmm. So she would look at me and she's like, aren't you going to eat what we're having? Or aren't you going to have some of this? I saved you some fries. I'm like, Grandma, I can't eat that. And it's like, she's always offering me like donuts and whatever, and I have to learn. You have to learn. And I did. I was able to do that. But yeah, for me, there was this weird challenge I had of like, it wasn't necessarily buying the pizza and bringing it to party, not having it. Sometimes it was that for me too. But now it's cooking all the food, being around it constantly, and then not having any of it.
Right. It's tough, man. It's tough. But there's strength in it. We've talked about that. Like there's strength in saying no, and not having it around, I think, is a really good hack in the beginning.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah. Not having it around is a really good hack until you're able to look it in the eye like Larry does lately and say no. And if you find that you slip back and you're in a place where I'm at right now where you look at it and lose, then just don't bring it in the house. Like I'm not going to restock anything bad, right? Like at all. Like I've realized that now that I have triggers and this boredom eating that I'm doing during this whole self-isolation thing, like I can't have any bad things in the house again. And I need to relearn that. And I've fallen off this wagon a few times since I've lost the bulk of the weight. It's going to be an ongoing process, and that was what that was the idea for this episode, because it's never going to be over. Like, ever. Like, I feel like even at goal weight, even like, because I just love food. Like, I love pigging out.
Yeah.
Like, I love pigging out. Like, give me like 4 burritos right now from Taco Bell, 4 quesadillas, and I will just be in heaven. Like,
for an hour or half hour.
And then I'll hate myself.
Then you'll hate yourself, and you'll feel bloated and Like, I was going to say, like, we've talked about this, like, we're literally food addicts. We have an addiction. We binge, we overeat, we eat unhealthy things. And it's an addiction where you can't stop eating because you will die. So you'll have to always eat the rest of your life. Now we have to maintain how much we eat. It'd be like if you were an alcoholic and you lived in a like world where you have to drink or you will die.
Yeah, like being an alcoholic where you have to go to the bar every night and have a drink.
And learning to have just a drink.
Because your body needs a drink to survive.
Yeah.
And so like you have to be an alcoholic who still has a beer a day.
Yeah.
Like this is what this is. That's like.
What food addiction is.
That's what this is. We are literally that.
Yeah. So I understand exactly what you're going through. And I've been there many times.
Right.
And I'm on the edge of it constantly now. And it's learning to not step over. And if the other one I was going to say when you brought this up was this is a tip, and this is something to expect along the way. When you do slip, your brain is going to tell you that you're a piece of crap and that you've ruined all these weeks or months of work. It's all gone. So nothing else matters. So why not just keep eating?
Yes.
Like it's going to want you just to keep eating, to stay in that mode and just go like you can get yourself into depression or a funk. That's how many diets have failed for me. Like I did really well, and then I had one night where I had pizza or something, and then my body was like, well, and my mind was
it's over now.
It's over now. So just have some more pizza. You might as well be happy.
Yeah, it's a funny thing though, because it's really funny that you bring that up, because I am no longer in that mindset. Like even though I'm struggling again, and we're talking about this, and we're talking about how difficult it will continue to be. There's been no point ever since this journey started 2 years ago where I've been like, well, it's over.
Yeah, I haven't necessarily had that either, but many people have asked me, what do you do when you slip? And my response has always been,
you just get back on.
You just get back on. You pretend like it didn't happen.
Yeah, like that's all it is. And it's amazing, like that click,
yeah,
whatever that is that changes is huge. because it's no longer that thought of, well, I've ruined my diet, it's over. It's like no, it's just it's an ongoing Ferris wheel.
It's like they want you to tell them like, okay, you need to get this drink and mix it with this and take this pill, and then you can restart your diet after that. No, you just got to just keep going on the diet like nothing happened.
Yeah, you just get back on
that
it.
Day didn't happen.
Yeah, like it's incredible how that old thought of, well, I fell off the wagon, it's over now, I'm off the diet. Like there is no diet. It's a lifestyle change, which I hate.
I hate saying that, yeah.
I hate the sound of that because people turn it off when they hear that. But like there is no diet anymore. It's like the life I live is the healthy life.
Yeah.
When I fall off the wagon, it's just a delay of getting back to the healthy life.
Yeah. If anything, those are now the anomalies.
Yes.
The eating healthy isn't the anomaly. It's not like I'm doing this for a short time. This is just who I am now. And when I do those other things, when I eat too much or eat outside my diet, outside my lifestyle, that's the anomaly.
And it's incredible too, like how much worse you feel when you're not eating healthy. I notice my aches and pains and I get up and wake up later in the day. I get moving a little bit tougher. Like
your mind's foggier.
I'm not as quick. Like
so, let's talk about the what to expect when you're losing kind of thing, beginning and late. Let's look on the positive side of that. Is for me one of the things for me, like, so I had to get glasses when I turned 31ish. I had great vision my whole life, and my night vision was horrible. Like during the day, it's pretty good. I'm not wearing my glasses right now. I'm fine. But at night, especially when driving, I have to wear my glasses. My vision is not even that bad, but at night it was really bad. And I noticed that once I got on the diet and was clean and started losing and everything started getting, my night vision got better. Like I'm not saying this will cure vision problems, but I'm saying it's like whatever inflammation or whatever's happening in this area went away, and I was easier to focus at night when driving. So like, I don't have to have my glasses. I still want them because I still need them, but I don't have to have my glasses when I'm, driving at night now.
And that was how far into the weight loss that happened?
Was literally maybe 2 months, within 2 months in, the first 30 to 60 pounds.
And you noticed the vision changes?
I noticed the vision changes. Like, I was driving at night and I was like, I can focus on the lines on the road and everything because I forgot my glasses and I'm okay. And this was not before. It was like I was scared to drive at night, because like my eyes would want to focus on the. I'm nearsighted just slightly, but my eyes would want to focus on the windshield. And now my focus is better. It's just better all around.
Okay.
So those things that would be blurry in the distance, where you have to like really struggle to look at, I don't have to struggle to look at it anymore. My eyes just kind of like, oh, there it is. Like although everything in there has gotten a little better.
Gotcha.
And then the other one, it would be inflammation overall, joints, everything. Like I used to roll my ankles constantly. I've calcified joints especially my right ankle from just like step funny, roll, crunch, down for a couple days, hugely swollen and stuff. I haven't rolled my ankles in a year and a half. And I used to do it all the time. Like every few months, I'm like, dang it. I used to like worry when taking a step downstairs, because when I would do it, my ankle would start to turn on its own because it was so messed up. And then I would increase my risk of rolling it. So I'd really concentrate when walking downstairs. Now I run stairs.
Right.
And I'm fine. And like you've seen me when we're hiking, I'll hit a rock funny and kind of just slip, and I'm like, I'm fine, or like there'll be a big rock that maybe would have tripped me before, and I just kick it out of the way because everything's just gotten stronger and better, and then the inflammation is not there, so I don't have like joint pain.
That's a really good point. I like the idea of looking at some of the positives people can expect while they lose the weight, and that's a good one. Another one is, did you notice when you stopped sweating?
Yes.
Like
not sweating, like getting ready in the morning, like putting my shoes on and being like dripping sweat while I'm putting my shoes on.
Right after a shower.
Yeah, sweating after getting out of the shower, because in the shower was work. Right? You're in this tight confined space and you're trying to clean and wash your huge body. You're twisting and moving in ways you don't normally twist and move because you've got to clean, and you're getting exhausted. You're getting taking a shower was like a tired thing. Like at the end of the day, I don't want to take a shower. I'll take it in the morning kind of thing. And now the shower is now a reward.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, so you remember the day, like I was like, just one day I'm like, I don't sweat anymore.
Yeah.
I used to sweat all the time. And then at some point, and it was fairly early, I want to say, in the weight loss process, that I mean, maybe it was gradual and I just
didn't notice it.
Didn't pay too much attention to it because it was gradual. But I just remember one day going, oh, I've stopped sweating all the time.
Yeah, I'm doing this thing that normally I'd be like dripping sweat off my forehead, and I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like now I sweat when I'm actually trying to sweat, when I'm trying to do strenuous exercise.
Yeah, when you are exercising is when you sweat, when you're supposed to sweat.
When I'm supposed to sweat, not walking from the house to the car or putting on my shoes.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was a big one, like noticing that I had stopped sweating. But on the flip side of that, at some point, the cold. Like I noticed I had no more cold tolerance one day.
Yeah, my hands are constantly cold now. But I'd much rather be that than before. But yeah, there's a trade-off. You just don't produce as much heat, and so you're cold now.
Like you go from being constantly hot. I was always hot and sweaty. Now I'm constantly freezing cold.
Yeah, I feel like a chick.
Like I am so cold all the time. Like to the point where like you just made fun of women, like you said, like a chick. But like where I've been on dates where like the girl's like, you're cold, like 'cause it's always the girl that's cold, right?
Yeah.
Like in general, that's kind of how it's been. Like men are kind of more warm blooded.
We run hotter.
Whatever. We run hotter because we're bigger bones.
Whatever it is.
And it's like now I'm always the one going, oh, it's so cold. Can we like go somewhere heated?
Yeah, can we go inside? The wind's blowing. It's like there's a slight breeze, but it's cold for me.
And we're not talking like snow weather. I'm talking like
we live in
it's
Vegas.
60 out and I'm freezing.
Yeah, it's 64 degrees and there's a slight breeze, and I'm like, oh.
Like I will start shivering.
Yeah.
Literally shivering. So that's one of the trade-offs. The nice thing is you stop sweating all the time. You stop being hot all the time. And then at one day you wake up and you're cold all the time.
But I would rather be cold than hot, honestly. You can always put more clothes on. You can only take so much off.
Absolutely. I do not miss the sweating at all. I would love a balance.
Yeah.
But I will gladly put on a sweater for the rest of my life for this exchange. I'm totally cool with.
Yeah.
What else do you remember along the way that kind of happened like that? Those are two big ones: the sweating and the freezing thing. Or
another positive change I'll say is mentality. I brought it up a little bit, but like your mind is clearer. You don't have like that brain fog. You don't get like the food coma thing that you did before. There's a lot of little things like that. Emotional state in general is way better than it was. Confidence is way higher. I'm more compassionate than I used to be, just in general. I still get annoyed by things and things still upset me. But overall, I'm just...
Do you find you're less quick to anger?
Much less quick to anger. Unless I'm on a deep fast, I'll admit that it makes you even more clear. I will say, like, you can totally just... Your mind is focused better focused, but at the same time, because it's more focused, if anyone is giving off any kind of just bull crap, you spot it immediately.
Yeah.
You can't help but point it out, and you might come across as cranky, but you're not really cranky. You're just like, I'm not putting up with it right now.
No, that's a very different thing. That's a no BS tolerance thing.
Yeah.
That's very much a no BS tolerance thing that happens as well. But that the quick to anger thing was I was like, oh, I'm so much less irritable now.
Very much so. And my mic just got way louder. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was something weird going on there. All right. So, that was one of the big ones for me, was that I noticed was just more compassionate, more open-minded. Mm-hmm. Even my politics now, we're not going to talk about it, but even that has just shifted, like where I'm listening to both sides more now. I'm not as set in my ways. I'm not as ornery. I'm not as stubborn.
Yes, that's you're more open-minded. You're just...
Like, I just did a vegan week, right? It wasn't that long. It was a week of it. I did vegan low-carb, which is very difficult. But I did it. And before, I would never have done that. But I was just like, hey, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to try it out. So I did. And for me, that's part of my open-mindedness. Like, I'm more willing to just try something. Like, before, I would never try it. I'm like, nope, I don't like that. I won't do that. Now I'm like, I'll give it a shot and see how I feel about it and what it does. Just overall, my whole outlook on life has changed.
That's another really good point. The whole trying new things.
Yeah. Oh, that's a big one. Here's one. This is a positive one. Getting in and out of cars that aren't your own.
Strangers' cars.
Oh. Because I'm 6'5" And I used to be 480 pounds. So I didn't fit in very many cars easily.
Neither did. Well, I was 500 pounds, so I didn't fit. I wasn't 6'5", but yeah, I didn't fit in the car.
And
either.
now, even I'm still tall, so there's still that. And people are like, "Oh, do you need to move the seat back?" I'm like, actually, no, I don't, because I'm so much smaller overall that I can squeeze my legs into anything.
I can fold
now.
myself up.
I can
just
fold
fine.
myself up now to get into whatever car I need to get into. And it's like every car is like, this car has so much room. Every car I get into, I basically say that.
Yeah.
Even when it's not a big car, because every car compared to what I used to
comfortable.
be has so much room. It's so comfortable. Like all this space I have.
It's crazy.
Putting seatbelts on, and especially in stranger cars. Like before, you're like, I don't know if I can get this seatbelt on. Sometimes you can't.
Sometimes it wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
Sometimes it wouldn't fit, and you're like,
I just have to risk death.
Yeah.
I hope this guy doesn't drive crazy. You know?
Or like you just be afraid of breaking their seat on the way in or out. Like I'm like, am I going to break this dude's chair or this person's chair in their car? Like. It's just, and you had to put it all the way back, lean the back all the way
to back as far as it'll go,
and then like sit, and then you would barely fit.
Yeah,
barely. It was just like
sometimes you feel like you're on top of them too. Like if they're in the driver's side and you're the passenger side, you're so big, filling up your side, you're like leaning into them.
Yes.
Like, sorry, dude.
It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, to not do that anymore, and who knows, like suspension, what was going on there? Like the car probably was leaning to the side you're on, and
at some point, I don't remember when, I just stopped getting into other people's cars. I would make excuses. Like it would come up once in a while at like parties or like gatherings or wherever, where people are like, let's go together, or let's do once in a while something like that would happen. I would find an excuse not to get in somebody else's car.
Yeah.
And then when I was forced to, it would be like the worst time of my life, because I would be like this, pushed all this, and then and God forbid people have to sit behind
you or next to you or whatever.
Awful.
Yeah.
Just and like, why do that to yourself? And like, I hated that. Yeah.
I used to honk the horn whenever I got in my own car. Just turning it out of the car, and couldn't help it. I was going to bump. If I had a coat on, it was definitely going to happen.
I still to this day am amazed, because when I bought my car, I was 515 pounds, right? So like my steering wheel would rub against my stomach.
Yeah.
And this is with the chair all the way back, with it leaned all the way back.
Yeah.
It would rub against my stomach to where it was like pushing in a little bit. And now there's literally a foot of space between me and the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And that's with the chair not all the way back, not all the way leaned back. There's a foot of space between the steering wheel and my stomach. And I look at that sometimes and I go, am I still that same guy?
Yeah.
Like, that's still me?
Well, like we talked about, like when you do go out to a restaurant or something, sitting in a booth.
I would never sit in a booth.
I couldn't sit in the booth. I didn't fit unless the table was movable. I didn't fit in the booth.
It would have to be a table with a chair without arms.
Yes, without arms, because then you don't want to get stuck that way.
Because sometimes I wouldn't fit between the arms.
Yeah. And these are like, it's when you're going along the way, and then you realize one day that's not a problem anymore for me. It's a huge thing. It's a huge like uplifting moment. These are things that you can expect and look forward to.
Yeah, like, and it's almost like, I mean, I know I cried during most of these, like not in front of other people, but like they were momentous occasions. Like I was like, oh, I could just sit in any booth now and not have to wonder, will I fit in that? I can get into anybody's car now and not wonder if I'm going to break their chair, or if the seatbelt's going to fit.
The seatbelt's going to fit, like I remember I actually had a seatbelt extender for a little while.
In your car?
Yeah.
Wow.
And just to make it easier, like I could put it on without it, but it just made it easier. And it was like one of those things, like, am I going to grow into this? And I had two different ones, because not all seatbelts are the same. So like some of the larger trucks stuff, they have like a bigger clicker you have to get. The male end is bigger. And so I had one of those too. And it was like, then I put that one in my dad's truck. So when I was in my dad's truck, I could put the seatbelt on easily, And it was like one of those things where like I pull it out of the glove box. He didn't leave it out, because I'd ride with him that often. But it's just one of those deals where it's like, oh, this is embarrassing. Pull it out, click. It's and then you don't have to do that anymore. It's so nice.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
I was going to say earlier, we were talking about like going to parties and stuff. That was another one for me. My anxiety is way lower.
I would never go.
Yeah, I had super high anxiety, and part of that was the weight. It was like, I don't want to go because I don't want people to stare at me. They're all going to be thinking that's that fat guy, blah, blah, blah. It's all those different reasons. And my anxiety was already bad growing up as it was for social events. But now, comparatively, it's nothing. It's almost non-existent. I actually want to go out and do things.
Right.
Like we were talking about this. We haven't done it yet. We're going to do it. We can't do it now because of the coronavirus, but we want to go out and we want to hit some roller coasters. Because since I was like 14 years old, that's what I had last time I was able to really ride a roller coaster.
Yeah, I remember going to Magic Mountain at 17 and not fitting.
Yeah.
That was the last time I
I
went.
actually had, it was the walk of shame. There's two types of walks of shame, right? There's the one that's the joke with the girls walking home or whoever in the morning
Right.
after, going to the club or the pub or whatever. Then there's the fat guy walk of shame or fat person walk of shame where you get in this line to get on a ride, you get all the way up there and you don't fit.
Yeah, I done that.
And then you have to walk past everybody.
And I think it was the new Batman ride at Six Flags or something.
It was
super excited about.
It was one of those ones for me as well. It was the one you stand up in.
It was the shoulder thing. And they
could not
three
click
guys were trying to push it down.
At a certain point,
the same thing?
exact same thing. Like, you're going to crack a rib at this point, so I'm just going to get off. It was, for me, it was a combination of height and weight, I think. Because if I could get it to where my shoulders weren't being crushed, I'd have to slouch enough till my gut stuck out and it wouldn't click. I couldn't find it in between. And so I had to literally do the walk of shame. I was 18 years old. It was our graduation thing.
Yeah, and I was 17. It was it wasn't a graduation thing, but it was like spring or whatever.
Yeah, it was like a grad bash is what they called it. So we were all there, and I had to walk past all
my friends who got to go on it.
Yeah, who got to ride it, and I didn't get to ride that. And then I think we went to go do the Superman. I didn't even get on. I was just like, no, I'm not going to ride this one.
That was it for me. I didn't try again, and to this day, I haven't been on a roller coaster, and it's 30.
Yeah.
No,
and I've been on a couple here and there, like at Disneyland, the ones that you can fit on, like Thunder Mountain. Like that's like.
Like the wooden ones where it's just one bar over your lap.
Yeah, but any
those don't count.
Really fun roller coasters, I haven't been able to do. So I can't wait to try it now.
I can't. And we're gonna take GoPros with us, and we're gonna film it because it's amazing that we had the exact same experience, isn't it? On the roller coaster,
no, the exact same ride even.
Yeah.
I think it was the Riddler. That's the one it was. It was Batman, but it was the Riddler because it was green. I remember now.
Okay,
because it was after. Whatever. After that, Batman came out.
See, because there's like an 8-year difference between us, so I think I might have been like the first iteration of the Batman ride, and yours could have been like the second or the third
one later. Yeah.
Because I remember it was the Batman that had just come out. It was the one with where you were standing up or whatever.
Yeah, this was that too.
There's no seat.
Yeah, it was standing up, but it was called the Riddler.
Okay, this was Batman, I think. I don't know. And it was I was so excited and I didn't fit. It was and I've never been back to a theme park. Like I said, like you said, I think I've done the wooden ones where it's just one bar.
Even then, it's still just click.
Barely, and it hurts.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You can't sit with somebody else. You're on your own cart.
Oh, you can't. Oh, God, no. Like the log ride you could do because it's just a log that you're sitting in.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I went to Disneyland with my family. And we did Splash Mountain, and this is when I was near my peak in weight. I mean, a couple of years before that, but I'm still well over 300, probably over 4 at 4. Mm-hmm. And getting into the log, water comes over the sides.
Yep.
Everyone gets wet before we even start, just because I'm getting in.
Yep.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. It just came back to me when you said log ride. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's incredible, right? I'm trying to think back of other things that changed along the way or afterwards, and there's just so many that have come up in conversation between us along the way that you just wake up one day and your life is no longer that way.
Yeah,
and the sleeping in the divot in the bed, or the chairs at the movie theater, the chairs in cars. A lot
of the weird aches and pains that you can't even pinpoint why they existed.
Yeah.
And now they're gone. And then when you eat unhealthy, you're like, oh, I had this weird twinge in my back. Oh, it's because I ate crap for a day.
Yeah, I used to think I had fibromyalgia or something like that because I had just a constant ache that was head to toe. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't a specific, doctors could never help me with it because it wasn't is your elbow hurting? No, not really. Is it your muscles? Is it your bones? Is it your joints? It's it's kind of everywhere.
Everything, yeah.
And there was nowhere, but those are the pains that go away one day.
Yeah.
And they're obesity pains.
Yeah,
or
they're
something.
obesity.
Inflammation.
Maybe it's caused by the depression that you get from overeating and stuff. Maybe it's the inflammation from the carbohydrates or just the junk food or the processed sugars. You don't know. You can't necessarily pinpoint what it is, but you just know you feel better.
So much better.
One for me was my skin. In general, my skin's pretty good, but anywhere where skin rubbed on skin, so the folds and the rolls and all that stuff, I would get boils.
Yeah, it's
constantly. And I had ones that were just always there. I would drain it myself because I'm not going to go see a doctor because it's embarrassing. And I don't want to have anyone have to help me. So I just had certain ones I always knew were there. And it was the end of the day. I was like, all right, time to start popping boils. So I just go in the bathroom and like get that one, and it's gross, but I mean, like they'd be full of like black blood, like just huge. Oh, so bad, so gross.
Right.
I would have blood and like pus all over my hands when I'm popping them. You know, I know it's horrible.
It is.
But it was just part of my life. And I have like I have scars now, like on my belly, under my arms, between my thighs, where I had these boils that were like, they were literally there, cyst, boil, whatever it was. They were there for like 4 to 5 months at a time.
Yep.
Like they just didn't go away.
They wouldn't go away. It's weird, right? Because we discovered this in one of our conversations early on. It was like, I don't think you get those boils until you're like 400 plus.
Yeah.
Because like they seem to happen. We didn't know it was a universal thing. Like I thought we were both very shameful. I don't even know how it came up, but it was like, it's one of those things nobody ever talks about, right? Like, have you ever talked about it with anybody else? If you have a similar thing, it's like when you get over a certain weight, in these folds, like right here were big ones for mine, like on the hips,
like where your belt goes,
where your belt goes, like where the skin would rub against skin, when there would be a lot of folds and fat and stuff, and your belt would push it in together. I would get boils, and I thought it was just a me thing. Like who would I talk to about this? And I wouldn't tell a doctor and stuff. Like I would take care of it myself, like him, and it was just part of who I was. And then one day they went away, And then we were talking one day and it came up. It was like, oh my God, you mean this is a thing that happens to very fat people? I had no idea. I thought it was a me thing.
Yeah. So that's one of those benefits. And if you think about it, when you're taking care of them yourself, that's so dangerous.
Oh, it's gross too.
Because you could get gangrene.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Yeah, so horrible. So it's like you need to, yeah.
Yeah, so it's weird. These things that we don't talk about that like for those of you who thought this was a you thing or you've been too ashamed to talk about it, if you're out there and you're over 300, 400, 500 pounds and you have these medical things that you thought were just you, they're not. There's just a lot of little things that across your body will just get better. It just, because you're healthier. Like I used to get like toenail fungus.
Oh yeah.
Like I had really bad athlete's foot, and that's, I'd say 80% gone.
Well, I think part of that's because the fungus probably feeds off sugar.
It does feed off sugar.
And so when you're that overweight and you're diabetic, pre-diabetic, whatever, you're sweating sugar.
It's candida, and candida feeds off sugar. If I'm not mistaken.
So there's just a plethora of reasons why getting healthier. For me, my immune system is much stronger than it used to be. I used to get strep throat once a year, every year. I haven't gotten it in 2 years. Knock on wood.
Right.
I used, and I would, whatever seasonal thing was happening, I would have it, and I just haven't had that as often. Or if I do, it's like a couple days of like a slight sniffle, and then I'm okay.
It's how fast you heal.
Everything heals faster. Like recovery from workout is faster.
So much faster.
Everything heals faster.
Like we went hiking, 3 days ago.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah.
What was it? Do you remember what day it was that we went?
Sunday. It was Sunday.
And now it's Thursday. So it's been 4 days.
4 days.
But I was ready 2 days later. Like the next day I was sore. And I was ready.
And this is a guy that was only your third time.
And it was only my third time hiking. And
that was a good hike.
Yeah, and that was a really good hike. And like the first time I was laid out for like I think 4 or 5 days. And like I think in a week or two I'll probably even not need one day off.
Yeah, you'll be on like me. I go every day sometimes.
Yeah, because I can still do an hour on the elliptical if gyms were open. But no, that's a good it's a crazy time out there, guys. Like it's weird recording these podcasts when the world's kind of just shut down. Like there's no gym, there's no that's why we've been working out by going hiking. Yeah, because it's kind of all you can do. I like to shoot hoops when I can, just by myself. And the park, they had everything chained off. So they're shutting down public parks now.
Shutting down or at least sections of them. And so you could walk around the park, but you couldn't go and shoot hoops.
Well, it's this weird thing. Like, what are you supposed to do? Because people want to get out and exercise, and they need to get out of the house. And they're trying to be good by going to the park or whatever to stay away from others.
People, so you have space.
But then there's everybody doing that at the same time.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. Like it was so funny. Like for me, like for someone who hikes a lot solo or goes for walks by himself, it's like now everything's crowded. It's like I see more people going for walks and hiking than I've ever seen before.
It's kind of beautiful in one way.
But at the same time, for me, someone who does that all the time, like, hey, this is my thing. Go away.
Yeah, like on the one hand, I see all these people working out now, and I'm like, oh, this is so great. Like everybody's exercising and out, and it's beautiful. And on the other hand, it's like, well, we have to stay away from each other. So
yeah, don't get too close. Don't touch anything.
Be beautiful over there.
Make sure nobody's touching their faces.
So it's a weird time. Anyway, so we've been doing a lot of hiking. That's one way we've been working out during this entire apocalypse that's been going on. Yeah, but we covered some good ground. Those are some things that it's weird, man. There's so much stuff along the way, and there's stuff I'm sure he and I, we both forgot for today's episode.
I would say the one last thing to say will be the eye contact.
Yeah.
We have brought that up. We didn't bring it up today. This is just an overall nice thing. People in general are nicer to you. I had this experience the other day. I had to get my tire fixed. I had a flat, and I went to the place, and everyone was super nice. Not saying they wouldn't have been nice before, but at a certain point, I realized, oh, they don't see me as a fat guy at all because they don't know me. So they just see me as how I am now. I'm just a normal looking dude.
Just a normal dude.
Yeah, I'm just a normal dude. And there was just the interaction was noticeably different. You know, they weren't even thinking about it. If anything, they were thinking about coronavirus, but
right.
You know, they weren't thinking about that at all. And before, it was always a thing. You know, like people don't want to stare, so they don't look at you. You know,
they don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, but at the same time, they're feeling uncomfortable because you're so big. But there's also a lack of.
There's also a lack of empathy for you when you have a problem. They go, well, it's because you've put yourself here, and to the degree they're right. But it's a very hard thing to pull yourself out of. It's a slippery slope, really, when you get how you get there, and you can get there quickly and not even realize it. And next thing you know, you're in this horrible place, and they have no empathy for you at all. Like a lot of comedians have said this. Who's the last people you can make fun of? Fat people.
Right.
Like you can't make fun of any of these other people used to make fun of, but you can still make fun of fat people because it's their fault. And to a degree, they are correct. Yep. But at the same time, it's like, man, get there and see how hard it is to get out of it, you know? But at the same time, we've also learned that within a year, it's not that hard if you do the cheat code, if you do the program.
But it's weird how it feels impossible.
It does.
You know, it feels insurmountable.
Well, it's like we said, like going back to the hiking analogy, it's when you're starting out and you're going up that hill, the first part of it, and you're looking up and it's like, oh my gosh, we had that experience together. We were going up a very steep hill with some loose rocks.
I was terrified.
You were terrified. And you're like, Larry, I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm like, you can make it. Because I had done.
It was so steep. It felt like it was just vertical.
Yeah. But once you got up to the top, you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? Like the rest of the way, it was almost made the rest of the trip better because you were so happy that you did it. And you're like, oh, this isn't that bad. But it was like, that's how it can feel when you're trying to lose weight. It's like, you've got it's Everest you got to get over. And all you can see is from the bottom to the top. You're not looking like, well, if I get to this point and then get to this point, it's you know.
But you can't baby steps.
Baby steps, and you can't see that when you're starting out. So it feels so insurmountable that you don't even want to try.
That's an excellent point. And it's like you feel like, wow, I've got so much weight to lose. Like 200 pounds feels like it's a whole person.
It's a whole person. Yeah. I've lost a 270 plus pound person.
I've lost another fat person.
Yeah.
Not another regular size. I've lost another fat person.
Yeah. Me as well.
Like that's insane. That's insane. We've lost a morbidly, like a 600-pound life guy.
Yeah.
Like we've completely like evaporated that much weight.
It's insane.
It's unbelievable. But the eye contact thing is huge. Like it's weird how you change, how your life changes, how you want to go out more and do things more. And I know it feels impossible. Like we were both there for so long, but I think it's good for people to be listening to this, to hear this, because all these things like your boils and your broken bed and how shameful you feel getting into other people's cars and not going to the movie theater because you're afraid of the seats.
Breathing heavy.
Oh, yeah.
All the time. We notice it now when we're with people who are on the heavier side and you can just hear them just constantly because they're struggling to breathe, and that leads, and then who knows what their sleeping is like. I mean, I'm sure I probably have sleep apnea still at this point, just because I'm a tall, big guy. I'm going to have it, but my sleep cycles were horrible because I didn't sleep at night. You know, I was passed out, but I wasn't really sleeping. You know, I was struggling to breathe all night long, and you're struggling to breathe when you're awake. You're struggling to breathe when you're sleeping, and it's so bad for you. And that literally takes years off your life.
Yeah.
You know, obesity is a disease.
Yeah.
It's a disease that's killing you. It increases cancer, increases chances of, diabetes, fatty liver disease, heart disease,
everything.
That leads to then pulmonary issues, lung problems, fluid in your lungs, all kinds of things, sleep apnea. You're not getting oxygen to your brain. I mean, no wonder things are clearer and better, because all improved. And that's all stuff that will happen along the way as you're doing it.
Yeah, maybe we should call this episode like the things that will change as you lose weight.
Yeah, the benefits.
Because it's or what to expect, I guess.
It's what to expect. Because there are a few things that aren't so pleasant. The cold, the loose skin. I would say this: if you're a younger person who's been on their way up and you've come across this, try to start now.
Yeah.
Because we put it off and we stretched our bodies out. And that's the consequence of waiting so long and getting so big, is the loose skin. As much as we've lost, there's only so much compression clothing can do. There's only so much autophagy can do. There's only so much the natural elasticity of your skin can do. And maybe when I stay good, and maybe in a couple of years, most of it will tighten up. But at the same time, I'm probably going to have some kind of removal surgery. And that's an expensive, elective surgery.
Yeah, no insurance will cover it. It's about $25,000 in the U.S.
Depending on what you have to get done.
If you have the full one is about $25,000, which is what I'll need. Like I have loose skin down in my forearms. Like even with the compression clothes, like you could see there's bouncy little skin there.
Yeah, I've got empty boob sacs on my chest.
Yeah, so we'll both need surgery, but those are good problems to have. I'd
much rather have those problems.
Yeah, I think at one of the meetups that there's one guy that neither one of us likes, and I believe one day while I was trying to talk to him about losing weight, before I realized that he was the kind of person that doesn't
never
hear anything.
Do it. Yeah,
he was like, "Oh God, the loose skin. Yeah, see, I don't want that." I'm like,
so you'd rather be fat and die in 10 years?
He's what, about 380
at least? Yeah.
And it's like, what, you'd rather be 400 pounds than have loose skin? Like, don't use that as an excuse. Yes, you're going to have loose skin. Tough. You did this to yourself.
Yeah.
This is your battle scar, man. You did this to yourself. Like you have no one to blame but yourself. And it's a shitty, poor excuse not to lose the weight if that's your excuse. Because there's he just, I remember him now because we're talking about this. I remember he looked at me and goes, "Oh yeah, that's one of the reasons I can't do this. I would never want that loose skin." It's like, what? Are you kidding? Do you know how great this feels?
Comparatively? I mean, it's not even a comparison. It's night and day.
It's like I would trade 10 out of 10 times, and then twice on Sunday I would trade this body for my old one.
Yeah.
With all the loose skin, with all the problems. And I have terrible loose skin. Larry's is so much better than mine.
Yeah, I'm a little bit younger, and I didn't. You smoked in the past and I didn't.
I used
Mine's
to
not
smoke.
quite as
I'm
bad,
42.
But it's still an issue.
Yeah, and mine goes all the way down to my forearms, and I don't care. I will gladly trade where I'm at now for where I was. So put the bullshit excuses aside. Here's the cool thing about this podcast. He and I have both been there. We've both used all the excuses. We've heard all the lies. We've told all the lies.
We've lied to ourselves. We've lied to other people.
You're not you're gonna get nowhere with us. But I'm this tall and I'm this.
Everybody has their own little "I'm special. This is why it doesn't work for me," and it will work. Every diet works if you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully we've given you a little bit of an insight into all the things that you may be experiencing now that you can expect to change, or some of the negative things that will happen along the way that you can expect. Yeah, that's it for me, man.
Yeah, I think that will wrap up this episode of the No Breakfast Club. As always, I'm Larry.
I'm Daniel.
And we'll catch you guys next time.
See you guys.
That was good.